Hello everyone and welcome back to Flash Forward, the show where I talk about every single Flash comic. This week we are continuing New 52 Flash with Volume 2, Rogue's Revolution. If you missed the last video, then quickly go back and watch that, and then come back to this one. I'm not going anywhere. And without further delay, let's just get straight into the second volume. The story begins with a young boy on a safari experience when a gorilla comes out of nowhere, knocking over the car that he's in. The gorilla then attacks a gazelle and starts ripping it apart in front of this kid's eyes, and he has a camera and the gorilla looks directly at him, and as this is happening we have a voiceover that says, "Fear can be a good thing. It can let us know that there is danger. Fear can be the spark we need to react in two ways, fight or flight. Unfortunately, sometimes it kicks in a little too late. Or worse, sometimes it paralyzes us." We then cut to the present day where the Flash has landed in Gorilla City just as Gorilla Grodd has killed his own father and he's eating his father's brains. It is gross. And the reason he is doing this is to gain his father's knowledge to allow him to become king. It's a part of their whole ritual. And then he sees the Flash. It's like, "What is this intrusion? You can talk? Where am I? He came down with the lightning. Is he the messenger? No, General Silverback. I smell his fear. He's no messenger. He's dessert." And Barry's like, "Oh, dessert. Better get out of here." So they start chasing after him. Grodd attacks him, and the elders tell him to stop, and that they beg him not to kill him because he is not prey. He is much more. Look at his symbol. He is from the light. He is the messenger. "I do feel the power of the light surging through you, human." "The light? What message do you have for me? Speak, who are you, human?" I don't know." That's right, we're dealing with an amnesia issue. Barry's not just pretending he doesn't know who he is just so he doesn't give away his identity. He has literally forgotten who he is. Meanwhile, in the Speed Force, Iris is stuck with some of the other people from that ship that they were on, and she's looking at the earpiece that the Flash dropped when he was sent to Gorilla City, and this guy named Albert comes over to her and is like, "Oh, let me have a look at the earpiece. Maybe I'll be able to get it working. I'm a pretty smart student. I'm gonna fail all my exams because I'm stuck in here, but might as well do something. Maybe we're all dead and don't know it, like in that old TV show where they all got lost." "You mean lost? I don't watch much TV." It's at that moment that they hear a growling noise, which means that they are not alone. It does not sound good. This guy does say that he doesn't feel hungry for some reason, even though he should. It's something to do with how the Speed Force works. It would be funny if it turned out he does actually feel hungry and that this is just his stomach. Meanwhile, at the CCPD, Hartley Rathaway has a conversation with Singh because he wants to return to being a vigilante because he was originally the Pied Piper, and now that the Flash is gone, Central City needs a hero, but Singh doesn't want him going out there being a vigilante, and Rathaway tries to bring up their relationship, and Singh acts like that's not what he's talking about. "So that's what you're worried about. The people will start talking. That's not it. It doesn't look good to have a publicly acknowledged vigilante showing up. Stop. Stop trying to make this about the Pied Piper. This is about us. You and me. If you can't accept our relationship, how will anyone else?" So again, we're establishing that Singh is not only in the closet, but is treating Rathaway pretty badly in terms of this relationship. He just refuses to allow anyone to know that they're even in a relationship. So I'm just kind of like, why is Rathaway even bothering with this? Especially when Patty comes in order to ask leave because she needs to go off and investigate a cold case, and Singh just gives her this leave. And this is his opportunity to say that he and Rathaway are in a relationship, and he chooses not to say anything. And Hartley is just like, "Fine, David, keep your secrets." I get that this is supposed to be for drama, and that Hartley is hoping that he can get through to Singh, and that maybe Singh will eventually come around. and come out to everyone, but I don't think he should even bother trying at this point. Like, he's better off just breaking up with Singh and finding someone who isn't ashamed of who they are or their relationship and is willing to just open up, or already has opened up immediately. He shouldn't have to put in the energy when this is a Singh problem. I also don't like the fact that Hartley just looks like Barry Allen with long hair. There's nothing really unique about his design compared to Barry. Originally, he had red hair. Meanwhile, back in Gorilla City, the Gorilla Elders all have a meeting about Barry Allen, who they call the Light Messenger, and their goal is to set him free because they say that his goal is to bring light to the world. And even if it is the destruction of the gorillas, it's their destiny. They have to do this because they have slowly been growing further away from the light, and that is what has created savages like Gorilla Grodd. So they're basically hoping to clean the slate. Meanwhile, Barry is tied to what the gorillas call their lightning rod, which calls down the light that they worship, and Barry's like, I don't know anything, my mind is completely blank. King Grodd is right, he's not the messenger. If I'm not the messenger, then who am I? And then these gorillas that are watching over him get knocked out by the elders, and the elders are like, we will show you exactly what you are and what we're talking about. And that's when it's revealed that this version of Gorilla City is directly tied to the Speed Force, and I'm not really a fan of that. The gorillas have always been known to have mind powers and stuff, and in this version they explain that the mind powers come from the Speed Force, but because they've been losing their connection to the Speed Force, they've been losing their heightened senses and mind powers. They say that Barry was sent here for a reason, so that they can give a message to him, that he is the runner. This light moves this world forward, and with every stride you take, you keep this world safe. Your destiny is to run for us all. Then why don't I remember any of this? Because it's all lies! That's when Grodd comes in, he slams one of the elders' heads against the wall, killing him. I feel really bad for this guy. And then another gorilla comes up behind the other elder and snaps his neck while Grodd attacks Barry and gives him a lecture. You don't know who you are because you don't matter. You were sent here as a gift to me. I will not let my apes die like these Mayans. I will devour your brain and claim all of the powers of the light. And with these powers, I will not only save my apes, but I will lead my empire out of the shadows and conquer the world. Your fear is palpable, messenger. I can smell it all over you. And that's when it's revealed that the little boy from the beginning of the comic is, surprise, surprise, Barry Allen. And it was his first experience seeing a gorilla. Don't think this is supposed to be Grodd or anything, it's just supposed to be a gorilla. And the message is one that his mother gave him because she was there with him as the gorilla was taken down by some guys with tranquilizers. We are all afraid of something, Barry. There are things that scare us so bad that we feel like cowards. But the thing is, being afraid is normal. It's more than normal. It's necessary. There is no courage without fear. Remember, Barry, it's okay to be afraid, so long as you don't let it stop you. I know who I am. I'm Barry Allen. I am the Flash. Barry gets all of his memories back. He zooms out of the way of Grodd as Grodd tries to smash his head against him. You can't outrun fear. That's why I'm running towards it, Grodd. The only way to conquer fear is to look it in the eye and face it. So there is some fight in you, human. Barry just starts punching Grodd to no real avail. Grodd punches and Barry dodges it, and Grodd just destroys the pillar behind him. They continue their fight, and Grodd says that he wants to devour Barry's brain so that he can gain his powers and have his apes dominate the world. I won't let you do this, Grodd. Your greed will destroy this place and your people. Lies! And Grodd lunges at him and says, wait, Grodd, that's not a good idea. My king, don't. You're going to... And Grodd just smashes through a pillar as Barry dodges out of the way, and smashing into it causes the lightning rod to fall over, and the caves begin collapsing. And so everybody starts running out, and Grodd gets covered in rubble. He's not dead. I think he's just knocked out. That's at least what the elders say. I'm pretty sure this is actually supposed to be Solivar, one of the named gorillas from older comics. He announces to all of the gorillas that the Flash has succeeded in his goal. He's going to head back to his world and continue his destiny. And Barry just gives a little speech to all the gorillas because they asked him, what are we supposed to do now? What are we going to do about Grodd? The elders say that they will handle Grodd once he wakes up, and Barry tells the gorillas that they are free to do what they want. Rebuild the city however they want, and just be better than Grodd and his cronies. We then cut to Patty, who is on a plane making her way to Guatemala to investigate the cold case. And it is in Guatemala that we see someone who is referred to as Marco Marden of the Marden family. He is standing next to his sister-in-law, Elsa Marden, and they state that every cartel from here to the United States will fall beneath the heel of the Marden family. For us, even the weather will bend at our command. Obviously, we're already building up some stuff. It's pretty easy to guess who this might be. And then back in Central City, Barry has arrived. The city has power again. And Barry's like, oh, I guess Dr. Elias used those Speed Force batteries to repower the city. And then he sees a sign that is being burned with the Flash's symbol on it. And he sees Dr. Elias rallying a crowd while burning a shirt with the Flash symbol on it. Barry's like, Dr. Elias? Nobody is above the law. We don't need so-called superheroes or vigilantes putting our city at risk. So I say hello to hard work and accountability and good riddance to the Flash. So it seems like Dr. Elias has turned against the Flash? What kind of craziness is this? I guess we'll find out. 2 years ago in Central City, Claudio Marco is having a business meeting with a bunch of the other cartels, and he tried to get in contact with his brother because his brother didn't want anything to do with the business, but now his dad is dead, and Claudio was happy to step up and do it himself, but he's come to a point where he can't do it alone anymore. He wants to be with his brother again. He wants them to be the magnificent Marden brothers again, and that's when he gets a call from Marco. He's like, oh, I'm so glad you called, like, finally. And as he opens the door, he's like, what are you doing here? And then Claudio just gets shot to hell. His body collapses on the ground, and Marco screams through the phone, Claudio, what the hell is going on? Claudio! And then we cut to present day Guatemala, where Barry Allen as the Flash is in Guatemala. Yeah, I know the last issue we ended with him finding out that Dr. Elias has turned against the Flash. But now we're just in Guatemala, and he kind of just gives us a refresher on what happened, where he found out Dr. Elias hates the Flash, and then he tried to go and talk to Patty because he wanted to reveal to Patty that he was Barry, so that she would no longer think Barry was dead. But then he found out that Patty had headed off to Guatemala to take on a cold case, which is Claudio's death. That is the cold case that she is investigating. And Barry thinks that Weather Wizard has taken a hostage, so he is fighting against Marco Marden, because Marco Marden is the Weather Wizard. They've been fighting each other for years. Like, he's a long-time rogue of the Flash at this point. I forgot that the rogues are just pre-established now, all of them, including Weather Wizard. So Flash has to fight against Weather Wizard. Weather Wizard has created a typhoon of water that is heading straight towards a town. So Barry uses his Speed Force powers to control the water and get it through the town safely so that he can return it to a river or the ocean. Not quite sure what it is. I'm just going to assume it's the ocean. He meets a guy who was out there in his boat. Unfortunately, his boat has a hole in it, so Barry helps him get back to shore. Meanwhile, Marco and Elsa are driving away, trying to get away from the Flash, and Marco's like, I don't know why the Flash is coming after me, why he thinks I've kidnapped some girl named Patty. Why would I kidnap somebody who is supposedly helping investigate my brother's death? It doesn't make any sense. Meanwhile, we see Patty, who is being held by a bunch of guys, and she meets the guy that was sent to clean up Claudio's body. He was sent there by Elsa But it turns out that Elsa was the one who killed Claudio, or had his death arranged. And then this guy tried to go and tell Marco once he found out that Elsa did this, but Elsa kidnapped him, and now she's also kidnapped Patty, and she's planning on killing the both of them, because this guy has the only evidence left that criminalizes Elsa. So yeah, we got a very complicated family deal going on right now. The reason she did this is so that she could get the two families to fight each other, because she herself helped the Mardens rise to power, and she believed that they would be able to take out the other cartels. And so she killed Claudio to give them that push, framing the other cartels for his death. Barry jumps into Marco's car and punches him in the face, and then grabs both him and Elsa and jumps out of the car with them as the car just goes straight off of a cliff. Enough games, Marco. He grabs him by the scruff of his neck. Tell me where you're keeping Patty Spivot. I don't know, I swear. All I heard is that she's trying to solve my brother's murder. I loved my brother. Why would I try to stop that? Liar! I'll tear down your entire empire if you don't tell me where she is. Leave him alone. I'll tell you where she is. What? I have her. She's in the Marden guest house nearest the southeast entrance, just down the road. If she's hurt in any way, I'm coming back for both of you. You had her all along and you didn't tell me? Barry beats up these cartel thugs and frees Patty. And Patty's like, now that you're done saving me, why don't you do something useful and bring down the Marden cartel's drug empire? Meanwhile, Marco and Elsa have a conversation. He's real pissed because this is the moment that he found out that Elsa killed Claudio, and the reason she did all of this is because of selfishness and the fact that she believed herself to be the true power of the Marden family. I killed my husband for this family. You killed Claudio? I'm sorry, but he was making decisions that would bring our empire down. He was weak. You shouldn't have left, Marco. I had to do it. I swear. It was all for the family. Family? You killed my brother, your husband. You've killed the Marden family. You talk about sacrifice? Let's join them! And he calls down a strike of lightning that blasts both of them. And Marden also mentions that every time he uses his weather powers, it makes him feel terrible. Like, it really affects his emotions. Last time I used my powers, I felt like I wanted to end it all. As Barry and Patty watch as all of the drugs burn, hopefully they're far enough away that they don't inhale any of it. That would be pretty funny. Barry considers telling Patty at this moment that he is the Flash, revealing his identity. But what Patty says makes him change his mind. I blamed you for every bad thing that happened to me, to Barry, to Central City, even though I knew you've only ever tried to do the right thing. Yeah, you're a hero, and your intentions are good. Maybe it's not your fault, but so what? Barry is still gone, my heart's still broken, and every time I see that red costume, it reminds me what I lost. And so instead, he just decides not to tell her. And he's like, I can't tell her that. I was hoping that I was going to be able to tell her that I'm Barry, and kind of take this weight off of my shoulder, and have her help me burden it. But that's not fair on her. As the Flash, I must run. I have to run to keep the world safe, but each time I do, I put Barry's life on hold. Worse, I put the lives of those I care about in danger. Patty has thought me dead too many times already. She thinks I'm dead now. How can I tell her the truth? I can't hurt her every time I put on the red suit. The burden of my responsibilities is mine alone. The world needs me to be the Flash, and for Patty to be able to move forward, she needs Barry to stay dead. And at this time, Marco realizes that he's not dead. Elsa died from the lightning strike, but he survived. And that is when he sees what looks like some kind of ghostly spirit appear to him, with shining golden hair. She's got golden robes on and stuff. And he recognizes her as Lisa Snart. The same Lisa Snart who was in a coma, who had a shaved head in one of the previous issues. And she says to call her Glider, and that it's time to come home. So yeah, I don't know what the hell is going on, but I'm sure it'll get explained. At least I hope it does. In Keystone City, a guy enters a hotel talking about how he needs to control the fire inside of himself, and stay off the grid. And as he is trying to sign into this hotel, a guy comes down the stairs, trips on a bottle and bumps into him, and this pisses this guy off. Clumsy son of a... It was an accident. Don't make a big deal out of it unless you want to start something. Oh god, what the hell are you? You're some kind of freak. I'm not just a freak. I'm a cautionary tale of what happens when you play with fire. Turns out this guy is Mick Rory, aka Heatwave. He looks a lot more like Freddy Krueger now. And he no longer has heat guns, much like Captain Cold. He has powers. His power is for fire to just come straight out of his chest. And he uses his fire to burn down the entire hotel, killing everyone inside of it, because that's just what Heatwave does. Nearby, Barry Allen is here. He's living in Keystone City now because Central City hates him because of Dr. Elias, so he has to live here now where nobody will be able to recognize him, and there are acts of arson going on throughout the city, so he's trying to investigate that. For some reason, he doesn't immediately think it's Heatwave. Like, he doesn't even mention Heatwave. He's like, oh, I wonder who's setting all these things on fire. Maybe it's the rogue that you fought many times in the past. It's not like he hasn't met Heatwave yet. Eventually, later on, it is established that he knows who Heatwave is and has fought him multiple times. Barry is also trying to get a hold of his speed thinking ability. He still hasn't gotten used to it. It's giving him headaches as he's walking through the city. He bumps into a guy and then sees the Keystone Saloon, where he decides that he wants to get a job there to be able to make a living in Keystone City. He walks over to the bartender and asks for a job, and the bartender is like, I don't think you're fit for this job. Like, what makes you fit for it? Barry's like, oh, I have a history of mixing things. Barry orders a drink. The bartender tells him that it's $5, which is pretty good for a drink. But it turns out Barry has lost his wallet because the guy that bumped into him a moment ago pickpocketed him for it. Also, Captain Cold is here. Leonard Snart is hitting on a woman and she slaps him in the face. We didn't get to see what he said, but he probably said something pretty horrific. And Barry gets hired by this bartender because he's like, I will work off the $5. And the guy's like, you're hired. This is kind of interesting. I wasn't expecting this comic book to pivot so fast from the regular formula of The Flash. It's another reason why this feels less like a reboot and more like a continuation of the old Flash comics, because Manapul does away with the CCPD stuff and all that, and just has Barry living in Keystone City now, and now he's got a job as a bartender. Meanwhile, at the CCPD, Patty has a meeting with Singh, where Singh is really mad at her for taking time off to go and deal with a cold case, and Patty is like, I told you exactly what I was doing when I gave you the papers to sign, and in actuality, Singh is just turning his own problems against her, because it turns out that Hartley Rathaway has gone back to being the Pied Piper as a vigilante, and so Singh is obviously very upset about that, but he's an asshole for taking this all out on people like Patty. Especially when he brings up Barry's death, and he's like, I've already lost one man. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said it like that. Like, yeah, you shouldn't. You're an asshole. And speaking of assholes, Dr. Elias is on TV having an interview about the thing that he invented. He says he invented these batteries that are powering the city. He acts like he came up with it all by himself. Like, he came up with it, but he wouldn't have it if it weren't for the Flash. And yet he is the one fighting against the Flash and all vigilantes because he thinks that they're all the same problem, that they are creating the supervillains, and so in order to stop supervillains, you have to get rid of superheroes and vigilantes. Originally, I liked Dr. Elias, and I feel like this shift in his character came out of nowhere. Like, what happened to him? One second he was helping the Flash, the next second he's this pompous prick. And Snart agrees with me. He throws his glass into the TV and smashes it. The bartender's like, hey, you're paying for that. And then Snart's like, hey, it was a shitty TV anyway. Why are you complaining? He complains about Elias and longs for the good old days where good guys were good guys and bad guys were bad guys. And Barry asks him where he fits in. It's like, does it really matter? It's all shades of grey nowadays. Only way to get a proper perspective on things is through the bottom of a pint. And I can't even do that. Damn beer keeps freezing up. Barry then orders a drink for Snart, which he says is made up of chemicals that can take really low temperatures. So it's the perfect drink for Snart because he shouldn't be worried about accidentally freezing it. It's kind of cool. I like this exchange between Barry and Snart. You don't see them interact all that much. You see Captain Cold and the Flash interact a lot of the time, but you don't see Leonard and Barry interact. And it's interesting to see that they get along, which is another thing that proves that there is a possibility that Leonard could redeem himself because he and Barry get along and have a decent amount in common when it comes to personal issues and stuff. It's at this moment that Mick Rory bursts into saloon. He's here to get revenge on Snart. He says that Snart is responsible for what has happened to him and how he got these flame powers. Barry tries to butt in and tell him to calm down, and Mick is like, "Oh, you're a bartender here? Well, then you're fired!" And he throws him out the window. Barry quickly puts on his suit while no one's looking and becomes the Flash. And so now Snart and Rory are mad that the Flash is here. It's like, "It's none of your business, Rick. Get out of here." And they start fighting each other, and Flash is trying to stop them from fighting each other. Rory doesn't explain what's going on, but he just keeps saying that Snart is responsible for the rogues and ruining their lives and taking away their gear and giving them these powers. And all Snart can say is that he was trying to help. Liar! I've had enough. Barry just zips around them, taking away their oxygen, so that the two of them pass out, and then he hands them over to Iron Heights. They get loaded up into the van, and as the van is driving away, Lisa Snart enters the van. And Snart is obviously surprised to see his sister. I'm assuming the last time he saw her, she was still in a coma. Also, I forgot to mention that while he's living in Keystone City, Barry goes by the name Al. He is now known as Al the Bartender. Imagine that was the last name he came up for himself. My name's Al Bar. I was born to be a bartender. As Cold and Heatwave are taken away in the police van, one of the policemen tells his friend that he's got a new wife. He just straight up says, "I've got a new wife," like it's something that he's bought. Like, went to the hardware store, bought myself a wife. We're gonna have kids. I'm afraid that these guys are going to escape. Like, are you 100% sure that they are restricted back there? And he's like, yeah, you have no worries about these guys ever escaping. They're not going anywhere. And then Golden Glider, Lisa Snart, comes through. She's like, maybe not. However, you are. And she just chucks these guys out of the window. These guys are dead, as far as I know. They just are gone. Like, he's like, oh, I'm worried about my wife and kids. Sorry, buddy. You're never gonna see them again. She's here to retrieve Mick, but not her brother. She does not give a shit about him. She just preferred that he drop dead. Quite literally, as she jumps out the back of the van with Mick, sending the van careening off the edge of the bridge, leaving her brother in there so that he will literally drop dead. Meanwhile, Dr. Elias is in his limousine stuck in a traffic jam, and the Flash pays him a visit. He's like, what the hell are you doing? I thought we were friends. I was helping you. I don't care about you taking credit for the Speed Force battery thing, but why are you turning the city against me? And Elias just straight up says, this is a experiment. He's a straight up psychopath. It's like, I'm experimenting, I'm seeing how quickly you can turn something that somebody loves into something that they hate. Whether you accept it or not, we are alike, Flash. We can both change the world. The difference is, I use hypothesis and empirical data instead of whatever flawed morality you've managed to string together. You're sick. I am nothing like you. Give it time. Now please, get out of my car. Like, I really hate this guy. This guy sucks ass. I really hope he gets what's coming to him. As the van that Cold is in heads straight for the ground, a bunch of pigeons come in holding ropes, tying them to him. Somebody is playing a flute, controlling them. The van hits the ground. Mick is grabbed by Weather Wizard and brought to his car, and the two drive off. And it turns out Cold was saved by Piper. How about you be a pal and let an old friend down, easy like? We don't think so, Leonard. Hang out for a while. My lovelies and I have a few more rogues to catch. Dr. Elias starts giving a speech because he's built his new monorail system, and they're about to test it for the first time. And so Barry comes and watches the speech, and he notices that Golden Glider has appeared behind Dr. Elias. This is where I've kind of figured out what is going on with Glider. They haven't revealed it yet, but I think I have an idea of what's going on. I think Lisa is still in a coma, but something happened to her that gave her the ability to create an astral form, and this is that astral form. The rope holding Snart detaches, and as he falls, he is saved by Axel Walker, the Trickster. And the Trickster doesn't want to be a member of the Rogues because he knows that the Rogues aren't a thing anymore. He just wants a favor from Snart because he knows that doing things for a Snart gets you good favors. Barry has a conversation with Lisa. He's shocked at the fact that Lisa can even see him because he's moving at super speed right now. He's like, what are you, a ghost, a mirage? A glider. And this man has betrayed me, my brother, and my friends. And I'm here for revenge. And she reaches through Elias's chest. What are you doing? Stop! I'm giving him a small piece, a shard of what he took from me. No! It's assumed she just grabbed like a glass shard and stabbed it into his heart. Oops, I think it cut him. You might want to get it out of there before it severs something more important, like his aortic artery. And Barry quickly runs over and grabs Elias, but because he was in super speed and nobody knew he was in the crowd, he's holding Elias, and now everyone thinks that he stabbed him. So they're all taking photos and stuff. Piper tries to stop Weather Wizard, but he gets thrown off of his bike and knocked out. Heatwave climbs up on top of the monorail system while Golden Glider is within the monorail itself. As the monorail comes towards him, Heatwave burns through it with his flame powers. He burns through the bridge, and Weather Wizard uses his powers to knock the monorail off the bridge, which sends it heading straight towards the building, and instead of smashing through the building, it is transported into the mirror world by Mirror Master, because he is here, he is working with these rogues, and he's apparently in a relationship with Golden Glider because he says he loves Lisa, and Lisa calls him her love. She is officially designated as the leader of the rogues, and she's like, how do you all feel about me as the leader? Everything is going according to plan. And that is when a giant ice wall comes up, and the person on top of it is like, are you sure you thought of everything? And of course, it is Captain Cold. He's like, I don't think so. So the rogues are at war with Cold. There's a train full of innocent people in the mirror world, and the city thinks I attacked the dying man in my arms. It can only get better from here, right? And so the war between the rogues and Captain Cold begins. As we move on to the final chapter of Rogues Revolution, we see that the annual consists of many different artists, including Marcus Toe, Ian Herring, Scott Collins, Dejanis Nevers, Claire Albert, Marcio Takara, Wes Craig, and Hi-Fi. 2 hours ago, Barry Allen headed to the Soul Flats to run around and think about the memories he had coming here with his father. His father only really cared about the world records that were being set during the races across the Salt Flats, while all Barry cared about was spending time with his father, which is something that he doesn't get to have anymore, for reasons that we'll get into later. I came here to clear my mind, to help me think and remind me that everything changes. Records get broken, children grow up, everything evolves. If you can't trust a lake to stay in one place, how can you trust that people will do the same? I guess that's what this is really all about. I didn't see Elias' betrayal coming because I was caught up in the speed. I need answers from him so I can see clearly what's ahead of me. A year and a half ago, we get to see what the rogues looked like before they had superpowers. They got the classic guns and weaponry. They've just robbed a bank. They're fighting against the cops, and as they're doing this, Cold is monologuing, talking about the rules that they have. No drugs, no killing, and that it's all about the score. They don't get tied up in revenge and bullshit like that. And that is when the Flash shows up and takes them all out. And they hate him for this. We see that later. They've all gathered together. They're like, how come the Flash always keeps showing up, beating the crap out of us? And Axel Walker suggests that they just move cities to a different one. And they just tell him to shut up and that it's his fault because he was supposed to keep out watch for the Flash. And Axel's like, yeah, but I wanted to jump in. Enough, Sam is right. If you can't do your job, you're no use to us. Are you serious? At least I'm a rogue. What's Lisa besides your sister and Sam's girl? She's family. And that was your last shot. Get out of here, Axel, now! That goes for all of you. Get the hell out of here! And Cole just gets them all out of his place, and then he goes off and he drinks himself, senseless. And that's when he comes face to face with Dr. Elias. And Elias offers him a chance to save the rogues and change them forever, make them good enough to be able to face the Flash, be on par with the Flash. How do you be on par with the Flash? You get superpowers, you become metahumans. So he gathers all of the rogues and all of their weapons, and he tells them that he has the genome decoder given to him by Dr. Elias, and that the machine will fuse them with the powers of their weapons, giving them superpowers. And they're like, I don't know about this, that seemed like a great idea. And Coda's like, haven't you had enough of getting your ass kicked by the Flash? By doing this, we'll finally have a chance to take him out. While the rogues turn on the genome decoder, Lisa leaves because she wants nothing to do with this. But as the rogues all start to fuse with their powers, the machine starts to overload and they try to warn Lisa, but it's too late. The machine explodes, she gets caught in the explosion, everyone gets their powers, but it ruins their lives, essentially. You end up with Heatwave just having fire come out of his body and all these third-degree burns. Martin's emotions being mixed with the weather, which makes him feel depressed all the time. Cold having a hard time controlling his ice powers. And Lisa becoming the Golden Glider, where her body goes into a comatose state and she gains an astral form. So it's exactly what I guessed would happen. And Snart thinks that his sister is dead because he can't see her astral form right now. He's like, oh God, please be okay. Please be okay. No! And he just freezes everything in his vicinity. In the present day, Glider had gone and visited the remains of this facility where they gained their powers. And she picks up a mirror, and that's when it's revealed that Mirror Master is stuck inside the mirror world. So the Mirror Master that we saw was just a mirror copy of him. Patty Spivot visits Central City Hospital, where she meets Roscoe Hines, the guy that got sent into the Speed Force, the guy from 1944, I think it was. So they have a conversation about where Roscoe was and how he doesn't really remember anything about his past life. And then they see on the news what's going on with the monorail and the Flash and the Rogues. And Patty's like, I've got to leave. I need to go and see what's going on and make sure people are okay. And Roscoe tells her not to leave because he knows what happened to Barry Allen and where he is. We finally cut back to the present day where shit's going down at the monorail. Flash is trying to make sure that Dr. Elias doesn't die, and Cold helps him by freezing Elias's body. Captain Singh is trying to make sure that Hartley is okay and doesn't die either. Flash and Cold face against the Rogues. Cold kicks Barry. He says that he's just creating space between the two of them so that Flash can deal with Mirror Master while he stays behind and deals with his sister. When Flash ends up in the mirror world, Heatwave and Weather Wizard join him, and then Mirror Master creates a whole bunch of clones of all of them, and they all just start fighting against the Flash. But Mirror Master has control of this mirror world, so he very easily takes the Flash down. Meanwhile, Golden Glider and Cold are fighting, and Cold is like, what are you doing? You have no idea how to look after the Rogues and be their leader. You're breaking the number one rule, which is that it's supposed to be about the job, not about revenge. Mirror Master tries to cover Flash in these metal pieces because he's going to shred him to pieces, but then Barry vibrates himself, breaks out of the glass, which sends a shockwave through the mirror world, and he notes that Mirror Master, even though he can't use his mirror gun anymore, he keeps it on him as memorabilia. So Flash rushes over, he grabs his gun, he's like, oh yes, it's something for me to hold on to, and then he uses it to control the mirror world, because I guess it does work. Mirror Master doesn't need the gun, but he still has the gun and allows it to control his mirror abilities. Whatever, he uses it to open up a wormhole within the mirror world and pushes Heatwave and Weather Wizard through it, escaping from the mirror world. And that is when he gets knocked out by a bunch of ice from Cold, because Cold has decided to turn against him. He's like, I did him a favor, I helped save Dr. Elias, but now I'm teaming up with my rogues again and steering them in the right direction, because you're not fit to lead them anymore, sister. So instead, join me, and we will create the best rogues that there have ever been, by following our regular rule, which is that this is a job. It's all about the job, and right now our job is to take out the Flash and then go out and, you know, rob banks and stuff. But now we're adding a new rule, which is we are family now. Before they didn't really consider themselves family. Now they are officially going by a familial relationship with each other. But this little reunion is cut short when a whole bunch of pods just fall out of the sky, crashing into the street below. The pods open up, and it's full of Gorilla Grodd and his gorilla army, who are here to get revenge against the Flash for ruining their society. For crimes against my people, prepare to be crushed under the heel of King Grodd! Somebody wake up the Flash? Now this would be the perfect place to end the video, on this cliffhanger that's going to lead directly into the next volume, but unfortunately, life doesn't work that way. At this time, DC had done an initiative where every single title was required to do an issue 0 that all released on the same month. So it didn't matter if you were halfway through a story arc or something, you had to do issue 0, and in each issue 0, you would retell the origins of the characters. However, some creators didn't do that with their issue 0s. Some of the issue 0s had nothing to do with the characters' origins, especially for creators like Jeff Johns on Green Lantern, where he had already done an entire mini-series all about Hal Jordan's origin, so he didn't want to do it again in his issue 0, so he just made issue 0 another issue. That's not the case with The Flash. The Flash gets its own issue 0, and it does retell Barry's origins, but everybody knows Barry Allen's origin as The Flash. He got hit by lightning, he ended up in a coma, and eventually awoke. He got powers, became The Flash. However, there are some things in this issue 0 that do get set up that become very important later on. So I'm going to talk about those things and just kind of gloss over the Flash origin stuff. Because we all know about how Barry Allen's mom got killed, and his dad was blamed for her murder and was put away in prison, and Barry has been visiting him. While investigating the death of his mother, he was struck by lightning, ended up in a coma. He woke from the coma and visited Daryl Fry, where Fry wanted to bring him back to the CCPD so he can start working. And so while Barry reacquaints himself with the CCPD, he decides that he wants to use his new speed powers for good. And the way he discovers his speed powers is just so rushed in this series. He discovers them as soon as he wakes up from the coma. There's no Spider-Man moment of him, you know, somehow dodging a car that almost hit him or something, and that being the moment that he learned about super speed. It was very underwhelming. There's a single page dedicated to Barry creating his costume. He came up with the design and look of the Flash immediately. There were no sketches or anything like that, no drafts, and it's established that this suit is armor. Like, it looked like armor. It always looked like armor when it attached to him. I didn't want to say it was armor just in case it wasn't, but this issue does establish that it is armor. It's metal armor that he created that splits apart and can hide in his ring. There's no explanation how the ring works or anything. He just creates it. No, the part of this issue that is really worth talking about is Daniel West. This issue is the debut of a character named Daniel West, who was the first criminal that Barry Allen ever took down as the Flash. He was robbing a bank with his friend, and as they were trying to get away, the Flash took them down. While Barry is visiting his father at Iron Heights, Daniel West starts to cause a problem, and so Barry has to help stop him. At this moment, Barry's father, Henry, tries to take the opportunity to escape, but Barry stops him and is like, "You're not doing it that way. I'm going to prove your innocence." He drops a bouquet of flowers off at his mother's grave and talks about how much he misses her, and then runs off as the Flash, and that is the end of issue 0. That's everything that is really worth talking about, especially the Daniel West stuff. And I really hate the fact that this issue 0 is just placed directly in between the end of the last arc and the beginning of the next arc, because it just feels so out of place. And I guess that's the consequence of DC beginning the New 52 5 years into the careers of all these characters. They could have just done issue 0 first. Like, the first issue of the series should have been issue 0, and then you go issue 1, 2, and have issue 0 be the origin, and then issue 1 can be 5 years later. Who cares? But instead they did it this way, and it just ruins the flow of everything. So now that that's done, that is the end of the video. Next week, we will be covering Volume 3, Guerrilla Warfare, where Gorilla Grodd enacts his plan to destroy Central City and dominate the world. We will see how that plays out. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe and hype the video, and I will see you next week. Have a good one.